The story that brackets every other story in the Bible. In the beginning, we have God in the garden with Adam and Eve. But what many Christians have never been told or noticed is that the entire story of the Bible is about restoration back to a garden, right? The story starts in a garden, it ends in a garden. We start in a garden, we end up back in a garden. What's so special about the garden? What's in the garden? Well, the garden grows trees. Very, very special trees. And one of these trees is the tree of life. The entire story of humankind is about our access to the fruit of the tree of life. And that, ladies and gentlemen, we're done. I mean, people go to church all their lives for 80 years. They'll never hear this very simple story. But in general, if you go to a church for your entire life, you'll never hear this story talked about in your church. Why? This is the story. This is what it's all about. This is why Yeshua died on the cross. This is why he's coming back. Those are just the middle parts of the story. But the story is that mankind started in a garden and is going to finally be restored back to the garden. And that is the story, the beginning and the end. So let's go through the story. And the Lord God planted a garden in Eden in the east. And there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground the Lord God made to spring up every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life was in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, You may surely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. Then we have the incident with the snake. Adam and Eve eat the fruit they were told not to eat from. God curses the snake, Adam, and Eve. Now they are outside the garden, deprived of the fruit of the tree of life, and mankind dies. That's the beginning. That's where it all starts. And you say, oh, I'm very familiar with that part. Yes, you are, but most people aren't familiar with this part. Revelation 22. Then the angel showed me the river of the water of life, bright as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb through the middle of the street of the city. Also, on either side of the river, the tree of life with its 12 kinds of fruit, yielding its fruit each month. The leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. No longer will there be any curse. We are back in the garden. We have access to the fruit of the tree of life. Mankind has immortality again. Relationship with God is restored. And as we read in Acts 3:21, this is the restoration of all things. Interesting. So the focus here is what? Mankind's access to the fruit of the tree of life and immortality. This is the story that brackets every other story. It should be the central message of Christianity, but instead it's ignored. But there is so much more to this story. And there's a reason you've never been told this, all the rest of the story. Buckle your seatbelts.